is 7:03 p.m. and the date is January 12, 2021. Happy New Year to everyone. At this time, I will call the meeting to order. The board consists of 5 members and 2 alternates. The alternates taking full part in the discussions and becoming a voting member in the absence of a member or when a member abstains for conflict of interest. Present tonight, we have Ms. Lisa Carson, Mr. Joe Krause, Ms. Kay Towsley, and the alternate, Mr. Robert Dulac, will be a voting member tonight. I'm John Goldsey, the chair. Also present, we have the zoning administrator, Mr. David Riggs, and secretary, Ms. Carrie Yake, as well as the government channel team, Mr. Scott Thompson and Ryan Schwartzoff. The board operates according to the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator or secretary will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The appellant or their representative will give reason why the appeal should be viewed favorably. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard. And anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or their representative will offer concluding summary or rebuttal remarks. Testimony from the floor shall be closed. The board will deliberate and render a decision. According to Athens City Code Section 230703B, the board has power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, public safety and welfare are secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code Section 230710C, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board makes specific findings of fact based directly on the particular evidence presented to it that the standards and conditions imposed in this title, if applicable, have been met by the applicant. And the criteria consist of 6 items: exceptional circumstances, practical difficulty and undue hardship, preservation of equal property rights, minimum variance, absence of detriment, and not of a general nature. And once we get to the case, I will describe those as well. Any person, resident, or officer, department, or appointed body of the City of Athens aggrieved by a decision of the board may petition the Athens County Court of Common Pleas concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the board to the applicant. There is only one case on tonight's agenda tonight, and that is the property at 5 Ring Street. And the board is required to take testimony under oath. Since we only have one appellant tonight, Michael, would you swear or affirm that the testimony you will be presenting tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And also, if anyone else is here, which I don't see anyone, do you see, Scott, anyone on the list of the attendees that maybe you want to speak, in which case they have to swear in?
We do have one person in attendance tonight.
Okay, we'll ask them when they get here. All right, the case is case number 20-16V, property at 5 Ring Street. Mr. Michael Rinaldi Eichenberg is the appellant. Appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 23-1001, Table A, bulk controls, to allow a front setback of 21 feet, where 25 feet is required to build an accessory structure. The property is a small lot with a triangular shape. Due to the size and shape of the lot, the appellant would place the garage as far from the road as possible, spaced. It marks that it makes sense. Okay, with that, Mr. Riggs, I'd like to ask the question, if this is a structure, which is an accessory structure, so that 5 feet is for the side, right? Not the front.
Yeah, this would actually be for a front yard setback. It's a triangular shaped lot, but we're assuming that the setback is for the front yard because of the shape. If you look at the sketch, it does have a rear. It does have what we consider a rear yard, and they're actually 11 and a half, a little over 11 feet from that rear yard setback. They can't push it any farther back on the lot because of the existing slope of the ground there. But yeah, we consider this a front yard setback.
Okay, you know, accessory buildings can be 5 feet from the borderline if there is no living quarters in there. But I just wasn't sure whether you still have to satisfy the front setback or not. Otherwise, an accessory building can be 5 feet from the borderline.
From the front yard setback? I didn't think that was the case.
Yeah, that was my question. Whether I know in the back should be 5 feet and the side should be 5 feet, but the front, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I believe it still should be 25 feet from the front.
Okay, okay. And I think we gave this property a variance a while back on the rear setback, so correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Riggs?
I do have a question regarding the 21 feet that the motion is asking for that setback to be, because the diagram that we have shows, as I look at it, 15 feet on the right-hand side, and I guess about 26 feet on the left. Do you just average the two?
Yeah.
That's historically what we've done. Because it's at an angle, it's not parallel to the front, it's at an angle to the front. And so we take the average of the maximum and minimum.
Okay,
and that's why
thank you.
Any other questions? And Mr. Eichenberg, am I pronouncing it correctly?
You are, yes, that's correct.
Okay. Would you like to state your case? Start with your name and your address, and then and your case.
Sure. Michael Rinaldi Eichenberg at 5 Ring Street. Essentially, I'm requesting to build a garage that I'm trying to keep as small as possible, and due to the limitations that have already been mentioned, the lot is a triangle. I feel as though I'm putting this garage in really the only place I could set it back from the road at any distance. And that's due to the slopes and just where the space is on the lot. Yeah, are there any questions for me, or is there any other information that I should cover beyond that?
Well, I have one question. The proposed garage is going to be 10 feet from the house, right?
Correct.
Is there any chance that you could move the garage to be adjacent to attached to the house? In that case, you don't need the variance.
I'm not too keen on attaching it to the house. Why am I not too keen on that? I guess.
And then,
Go ahead.
And then also your gravel driveway would be straight from the street right to the garage. You know, you don't have. Oh, actually, it goes through your garden. I don't know how established the garden is.
Well, I just dug about 18 inches of clay and gravel out of it from the recent city sewer project, so it's is semi-established at this point.
Okay.
No, that's a fair question. I think attaching it to the house would complicate things just because I'd be attaching two structures with two separate foundations and two separate styles of foundations. That would make me a little nervous. Also, the front door, I do have things behind the house, namely trash bins and recycling and there's some other stuff. I do go back there. That it would lengthen the walk to the backyard. Is that really a big deal? Probably not. I think the combining of two buildings and such as well.
Yeah, it has its challenges, but I didn't know how easy or how difficult it was for you to do that, just moving it 10 feet. And then the average would be actually more than 25 feet. But we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it tonight. Just an option. And Mr. Riggs, is the gravel driveway acceptable, or do they have to pave it?
It should be paved, pervious structure. Actually, the apron has to be concrete, and then behind that, typically we ask them to put concrete or asphalt in as a driveway.
Okay. Questions for the appellant? Lisa, you have any questions? Rob? Joe, you always have a question.
I'm just catching up, John.
Okay.
I usually do too, but I think it's pretty straightforward here. I don't think there's, other than the question you brought up, I think there's nothing else here to really.
Yeah. So we gave this property a variance for the back setback, and we were just talking before you came in. Was there an issue with the sewer line going in the middle of your property, or am I thinking about something else?
No, you're correct. That delayed me starting, so I lost that spring and summer of 2017. I didn't want to start until that was finished.
Okay.
The sewer line passes through my front yard. It doesn't go under the house. Still, it was definitely a wise decision to not start building until that was done. But yeah, everything worked out.
Okay. I recall one of your neighbors had some objections to that, but I don't think they're here tonight. Anything else you want to say before we close the floor from discussions?
I can't think of any. Is there anything else that I should say or should be saying? I'm concerned that nobody has any questions. I guess I would just say the garage wasn't in my initial plans, but I know that I would utilize it a lot, and I would feel good being able to park my car inside a building, given some of the, there was a theft of a catalytic converter a couple of doors down recently. And all of that said, I do feel I'm putting it in the best place I can.
Okay.
Hopefully it won't negatively impact any of the neighboring properties.
Is the driveway going to be wide enough to have two cars parked in there, or it looks like right now it's not as wide as the garage, 16 feet, but.
Yeah, the driveway wouldn't be as wide as the garage. It won't be a two-car garage. It will just be a one-car garage.
Okay.
Yes.
But technically you could put two cars because it's 16 by 20. So.
It would be tight. I'm only planning on having a garage door kind of offset.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, any questions? No questions? So we're going to close the discussions from the floor. And anybody would like to entertain a motion?
Was there someone who wanted to speak? I think there was, right?
Oh, let me go through that again. Yeah. Is there anyone who would like to speak on behalf of this proposal? Anyone who would like to speak in general or opposition to this project?
Here we go. Ali Lee.
Okay, please unmute yourself. Okay, yeah.
Hi. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you and we can see you, yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to step up to speak on behalf of the appellant's request. My name is Allie Rapp-Lee. My husband and I own the property next to 5 Ring Street at 7 Ring Street. We sold the lot to Michael after getting a variance for that rear setback to allow a building in that space. Our property had a lot of land. It was suitable for a nice house, which Michael has built. He's been a great neighbor, and the property looks fantastic. I think it's good for the neighborhood. And so I would, as a neighbor, be happy to welcome his garage in the place that he'd like to have it.
Okay, very good. Maybe he will let you store some stuff in his garage for you.
Yeah, maybe we'll trade for some firewood.
Yeah, okay. Excellent. Well, thank you. So that was on behalf, because I was asking for opposition. This was not in opposition, it's on favor of the variance, right? Okay. Now we can, somebody makes the motion. I think Kay is getting ready for that.
You read my mind, John. Yes, I move to grant a variance to the property at 5 Ring Street from ACC 23-1001 Table A bulk controls to allow a front setback of 21 feet where 25 feet is required to build an accessory structure. The property is a small lot with a triangular shape. Due to the size and shape of the lot, the appellant would place the garage as far from the road as possible in a space that makes sense.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Rob, second. And then exceptional circumstances. Well, this property obviously does have exceptional circumstances because of the shape and the size.
Right.
And this is really one of the examples that we have always considered for size and shape and so forth. So, and the garage is not too much to ask. You know, most properties have garages these days, so that will create a practical difficulty and undue hardship for not having a garage. So please feel free to come in and add more to what I'm saying. Anyone else? Any comments?
I agree with you, John.
Good, thanks. Preservation of equal property rights. That was a question I was going to ask Michael. Your neighbors have garages? In general?
Good question. Yeah. How many houses on the street have garages? 2 houses have 3 houses. 3 houses on the street have attached garages. 3 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 7.
Okay. So you're not granting a huge privilege to your property by having the garage. And minimum variance, the size of the garage, I think, is the minimum size that if you want to have a garage, this is probably a good size, minimum size. Do you all agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Joe agrees with me always. Absence of detriment. Well, we only have one neighbor who has no objection to this, and this is not of a general nature. So, are we ready to vote?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Well, let's just start with Mr. Dulac.
Vote yes.
Yes. Lisa.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And who else we have? Lisa? Joe, sorry.
It's okay. I vote yes.
Yes, and I vote yes as well. So you have the variance 5-0. Okay, very good.
Thank you all.
And sure, and we don't have any other cases. You all received the final copy of the minutes for December 8, 2020, and everything looks good to me. Any comments? Anybody wants to make a motion to accept the minutes of December 8, 2020?
So moved.
I make it.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, just say yes.
Yes.
Any
Yes.
opposed? Any opposition? No? Okay. That's all the meeting for tonight. And then those are you who are board members and regular board members. And if you would like to serve as the chair in 2021, you have about a month to think about it. Let Carrie or I know. And then we'll nominate make the nomination in February. And then we vote for whoever is nominated. And Carrie, do we have any cases set up for February?
So far, no.
So far, no. In case we don't have any meeting, then the reorganization will be moved to the following meeting. Okay. Any final last words? Anything? No? Well, again,